Welcome back to Joe Stunner Boxing. So, Saul Canelo Alvarez moves to 62 wins, 2 draws, 2 defeats, 39 KOs. 62 2 and 2 always reminds me of Marvin Hagler because before he fought Ray Leonard, that was his ledger. And of course, he fought Ray and picked up that controversial win, a loss rather, and he ended up with 3 defeats. But 62 2 and 2 always reminds me of Hagler. Anyway, let's talk about Canelo because that's what this video is about. He retained his title against Edgar Berlanga. Now, I predicted that Berlanga would go out. I think I picked the 5th or 6th round, something like that. I thought Canelo would smash him up. And to be honest, he did. He clearly won most of the rounds. I mean, after the 7th or 8th round, I sort of stopped screwing it. I think I'd given, if not all of them, then nearly all the rounds to Canelo. But that's not to say that Berlanga wasn't making Canelo work. He was. Now, to start with, Berlanga, to me, during the preliminaries, he looked a little bit nervous, a little bit anxious, intimidated. Maybe that's an exaggeration, but in the first round, this seemed to carry on. He looked stiff. His body language was very. I mean, the size of the guy compared to Canelo, he looked massive, and yet Canelo was the one doing all the stalking. Sort of shades of Usyk going after that giant that is Fury. Talk about David and Goliath. But with Berlanga, he seemed very stiff and very nervy, and he was sort of almost hunched over like that, fighting small. And you would think that a guy of that size, he'd be banging the jab in. Berlanga, of course, came in with 22 wins, no draws, no defeats. He had that 16 first-round knockouts in a row against nondescript opposition. Then he had all those five decision wins, and then in his last fight he stopped Polly McCrory in 6. So at least he had a recent KO. But he was talking about getting Alvarez out there in 6 rounds. That was never going to happen. And especially it wasn't going to happen if he didn't let his hands go. And he simply didn't. I thought, what are you doing? It's a 12-round fight. I mean, he went 12 rounds with Jason Quigley, and he's done a few 10-rounders. So, yeah, he's got a few rounds under his belt recently. But Jason Quigley isn't Canelo Alvarez. And Berlanga just wasn't letting his hands go. He looked very, very tentative. And in the 3rd round, he kind of got woken up by almost being put to sleep because Alvarez, who, to be honest with you, I think in some respects looks better than ever. The patience of the guy, the accuracy of the guy, the way he stalks, defensively being almost not perfect because he does take a few punches, but he's just using all that experience that he's got in such an effective way. And it showed because with Berlanga not doing a great deal, Canelo managed to feint. I think Berlanga bit on it, and then Canelo threw a swooping left hook, which caught Berlanga slap bang on the jaw. I mean, nothing wrong with Berlanga's jaw, because that would have knocked most people out. And Berlanga, as soon as he hit the floor, he was banging his gloves together as if to say, "Oh, damn it, I got caught." Well, he kind of contributed, in a sense, or possibly contributed to that situation because he just wasn't throwing enough punches. He was way too tentative. And when he did let his hands go, it looked, especially the jab, it looked like he was giving Canelo some problems because he was jabbing, occasionally, just not enough of it. And it was bang, 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 with if it had been sort of bang, 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 like repetitive, keeping Canelo from setting himself, it would have been great, but he wasn't doing that. And I think in that 3rd round knockdown, it kind of made him realise, well, I can't. I'm not going to sort of be able to pinch these rounds. I've got to actually do something. And in fairness to him, after the knockdown, even though I was giving Canelo rounds, Berlanga was at least in little pockets, letting his hands go a bit more. It was still strange to see such a big guy being so sort of shy of really trying to put it on Canelo. But Canelo is just so accurate, and he knows when to fire the right punches at the right time. It's something that only comes with a perfect mixture of natural talent, tremendous discipline in honing that talent, and experience. And the experience that Canelo's got, he's using it perfectly. Very, very impressed with Canelo, because Berlanga, I know, people were, including myself, I thought Canelo would handle him much easier. Okay, he won virtually every round, so you could say he did handle Berlanga easily. But I got to give Berlanga props for being able to hang tough and go the distance, because I didn't think he'd be able to do that. I thought Canelo would chop him down in middle rounds. Props to Berlanga. This did smack of, and I know this is almost a cliche, but this did smack of, when you consider the absolute gulf of difference between the two fighters in experience, this did smack of kind of a learning fight for Berlanga, in the sense that he will be a better fighter because of this experience, just like Jaime Munguia. And this seems to be where Canelo has gone. He's gone to taking these young fighters. If I say young, I mean Berlanga's 27. What's Canelo now? 30, 33 or something? 34 maybe, whatever he is. It's early 30s. But he's taken these young fighters on, Munguia, Berlanga, undefeated fighters with, who've got a reputation for being big, tough guys. And he's taking them to school. He's literally taking them to school and showing them, giving them 12 rounds, which they can look back at and say, oh, what did I do wrong? What did I do wrong? Okay, I need to do more of that. I did that wrong, and I made that wrong decision, and blah, 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 blah. And that's what Alvarez is doing now. But like I said, the younger Canelo was probably more of a front-footed killer, you might say. But this version, the guy who's quite content to go 12 rounds and win 12 individual little contests in a row, do the full 36 minutes. This guy, in a sense, is as impressive, at least, because he's adapted as he's matured, as he's got older, as he's got the miles on the clock. He's adapted his game. It's quite brilliant to see, to be honest with you. And that's not to say that by the end of the fight, Alvarez didn't have marks on him. He had a bit of a knot under one of his eyes. I think it's the left eye. He wasn't cut, but there were some abrasions there. The fight got quite dirty as well at times, with Berlanga at one point putting the head in. I'm surprised he didn't get a point taken off for that. And there was some punch on the break, a couple of rabbit punches in there. It was, at times, it was a bad-tempered fight, but it was also an excellent boxing display by Alvarez. Canelo is, for quite a while, I was thinking for the first, maybe until about 4 or 5 years ago, I was thinking, this guy's a bit overrated. He's very good, but I don't think he's overrated now. I think he's actually shown his ring IQ by making those adaptations and adjustments. And he can do it within the fight itself. He can make adjustments within the fight itself. He can get tagged. He can get hit. And Berlanga will probably wake up tomorrow and think, I should have thrown more punches. But it's easier said than done when you've just been floored by a swooping, perfect left hook. And you're basically getting your body banged around, because Canelo did a lot of very good body work in this fight as well. But he will, after the Lord Mayor's show, you say, oh, I should have done this, wish I'd done that. And, But Berlanga, he can come back. I mean, he's only a young man, 27. He's now 22 wins, 1 defeat on points to Canelo. I think that's the fifth or sixth points decision for Canelo in a row. Again, we saw this with Mayweather, different style of fighter, of course, but he's had 2 careers, essentially, Mayweather. Pretty Boy Floyd, where he was a bit of a killer, a bit of a sharpshooter, getting people out of there. And then once he settled in a welterweight, they were nearly all decisions, because he was getting older. He had hand problems, and legs weren't what they were. On the evidence of this, Canelo can go on for another 3 or 4 years at least, because he's actually preserving himself to some degree by making those adaptations and adjustments, and being a sort of fighter who can prolong his career through sheer craftiness and nous. He's a very, very good fighter indeed, Canelo Alvarez. So what did you think of the fight then? What did you think of it? I thought as a pay-per-view event, it was a disgrace. Most of the undercard wasn't very good, apart from the Caleb Plant fight. That was very good. But, yeah, dreadful pay-per-view undercard. Not worth the money. But this fight was good. It was interesting. So what do you think of it? Leave your comments below as usual. Please subscribe to the channel if you're new and hit the like button. Cost you nothing. Helps the channel out a great deal. I'm looking forward to reading your comments. I'll leave replies on as many as I can. And yeah, that's the weekend's boxing over and done with. Not bad really, was it? I slagged it off just now, but hey, you know. Anyway, comments below. I'll have a read and I will of course speak to you all later. Bye for now.